Good evening. Welcome to the 12th annual Chick-fil-A Florence Hall of Fame induction ceremony. It's an exciting time for all of us involved in getting this night together for the tremendous Florence athletes, past, present, and future, that will benefit from this appreciation. We're extremely proud of Florence's athletic heritage and all of our hometown heroes who have entertained and inspired us over a long and illustrious history of sport. Tonight, we're fortunate to have the opportunity to introduce you to 6 of those outstanding people who have earned the distinction of the class of 2017 for the Chick-fil-A Florence Hall of Fame. I'm Derek Urquhart, president of the Hall of Fame. I would like to introduce to you the dedicated Hall of Fame board of directors who, along with myself, have volunteered numerous hours to get to this night. Mike Cook, Ted Green, Carol Hanna, Melissa Gerald, Jeff Jeffers, Jacqueline Melton, Bobby Montrose, Missy Burgess Planner, Rocky Rykovich, Robbie Smith, and Mark Wade. Thank you very much for your time and dedication for this past year. I'd also like to recognize our committee attorney, David Johnson, as well as any members of the city and county councils who are here with us tonight, Florence District School 1 Board of Directors, and the Florence Civic Center Commission who have supported our efforts since the beginning. Also like to this time recognize outgoing board members, Ted Green, Carol Hanna, and myself. Thank you too for what you've done these past 3 to 6 years of your terms. None of this will be possible without our sponsors. You'll see them listed in the program as well as hanging around on our banners here. We especially would like to recognize our title sponsor, Chick-fil-A, along with McLeod Health and Pepsi, who have been with us since our inception. Thank you guys for your loyal support. So on behalf of the Florence Chick-fil-A Athletic Hall of Fame Board of Directors, I'd like to welcome you again to the 2017 induction ceremony. We have an outstanding program planned for you, a very exciting guest speaker, as I ask you to sit back and relax and enjoy the evening. So at this time, I'd like to introduce to you our MC for the night, back for his 2nd year in a row. Former Francis Marion basketball star and Patriot Hall of Famer. He's a state champion head coach for the Wilson basketball team in 2007, and currently the athletic director at South Florence High School, Coach Bob Wilson.
Thank you, Derek. And again, this year I'd like to point out what a great honor this is for me to be involved in this program. Being a history major in college, one of the things that I have learned over the years is when you tell the story of a place, you're telling the story of its people. Athletics play a huge role in the fabric of any community. And what we're doing tonight in honoring these 6 inductees is adding a piece of the story to Florence, South Carolina, not just in the athletic realm, but telling the story of Florence itself. So again, I'm very honored to be here. Many of the inductees, all of the inductees, I know of their story. Many of them I saw perform and play, and some I count among my personal friends. So again, it's a real pleasure for me to be here again this evening. We're going to start this evening by recognizing the past inductees that are present here this evening. If you are here, and I call your name, please stand, and if we would hold applause until the end so we can get all of these deserving Florence Athletic Hall of Fame inductees the attention that they deserve. From the class of 2006, Bobby Jordan. 2006, Pearl Moore. 2006, Jim Wall, represented by her daughter, Debbie Wall, his daughter, Debbie Wall. 2007, Bull Lee, represented by his niece, Debbie. 2009, Jim Frazier. 2009, Justin and Darian Durant, represented by their aunt, Reverend Michelle Gordon. 2010, Larry Alexander. 2010, Ken Lester. 2010, Lawrence Timmons, represented by his father, Lindsay Timmons. 2010, Derek Urquhart. 2011, Richard Sell. 2011, Melissa Gerald. 2011, Mike Wilson. 2012, Joe Lee Harley, represented by his nephew, Mike Kelly. 2012, Richard Lester. 2013, Spider Webb. 2014, Antoine Brooks. 2014, Leslie McAllister. 2014, Jerry Lee. 2014, Debbie Wall. 2015, Larry Jewell. 2015, Bob Schuster. And 2016, Robert Razik. And 2016, David Earl Hanna. How about a great reception for our past Hall of Fame inductees? Now for special recognitions is Hall of Fame board member Robbie Smith.
We have a couple of teams in the Florence area that won state championships this year, and we would like to recognize these two teams. First is the Maranatha Christian School Lady Bulldogs softball team. Their overall record was 9-4. In their state tournament, they went 3-0. First, they beat Fountain Inn, then they beat South Point, and then Emmanuel to win the state championship. Their head coach is Todd Rowe, the assistant coach is Mark Daniel, assistant coach is Taylor Rowe, and the other assistant coach is Katie Lee. They're represented by their head coach, Todd Rowe. Congratulations to the Maranatha Christian School Lady Bulldogs. Also, the Florence Post-1 American Legion baseball team. They were the 2016 state champs. Their overall record was 39-5 and 11-1 in the league. This was their 8th consecutive league title and their 5th consecutive trip to the South Carolina State Tournament. They were the Southeastern Regional runners-up, and 19 of their 21 players have signed to play collegiate baseball. Their head coach is Derek Urquhart. The hitting coach is Rhodes Dickerson. The pitching coach is Philip Herring. Assistant coach is Brian Davis, and the athletic officer is Mike Ritchie. They're represented tonight by head coach Derek Urquhart, the Florence Post-1 American Legion baseball team. We have a citation tonight, and this is for the Florence area swim team. FAST was founded in the 1970s by Bill and Peggy Sebnick. FAST started as an AAU team that practiced at the YMCA as a team known as FFY. They transitioned to a United States swimming team, now known as USA Swimming, and in 1982, the team chose to move to the newer Francis Marion University Aquatic Center. They took on the name of FAST, Florence Area Swim Team, and served as the PD's only USA swimming team. FAST has involved over 2,000 youth at the ages of 5 through 18 years old and has competed at the state, regional, and national level. FAST has advanced over 100 swimmers to compete at the collegiate level and have had at least 5 alumni or past members of the team qualify and compete at the Olympic trials. For their contributions to athletics in the Florence community, the Florence Athletic Hall of Fame proudly recognizes the Florence Area Swim Team, FAST, with their 2017 Citation Award. Tonight, Ms. Dawn Walker is here to accept the citation for FAST. If Dawn will come up to the front. All right, let's give another round of applause for the Florence Area Swim Team. We have one additional special recognition tonight, and that is for our title sponsors, Chick-fil-A. We want to thank them for their 12 years of sponsorship of the Chick-fil-A Florence Athletic Hall of Fame. At this time, I'd like to ask David Pate, Blake Pate, and Mark Drummond to please come to the front of the stage to be honored. All right, once again, thank you very much to Chick-fil-A for 12 years of sponsorship of the Chick-fil-A Athletic Hall of Fame.
Now for the introduction of our very special guest speaker this evening. Our guest speaker is Clemson University head baseball coach Monty Lee. A South Carolina native born in Spartanburg, Monty played his high school baseball and football at Lugoff-Elgin High School. Following his high school career, he was an outstanding outfielder at the College of Charleston from 1996 through 99, where he became the first Cougar position player in school history to be drafted when he was selected by the St. Louis Cardinals. In 2004, he became an inaugural member of the College of Charleston Baseball Wall of Fame. Coach Lee began his coaching career as an assistant at Spartanburg Methodist College for 2 years, followed by 6 years as an assistant at the University of South Carolina, where he was named recruiting coordinator in 2008. During his time in Columbia, the Gamecocks made 6 NCAA tournament appearances and 2 trips to the College World Series. In 2009, Monty was named head baseball coach at his alma mater, the College of Charleston, where he has posted a .276, 145 record over his 7 years there, including 4 trips to the NCAA tournament. His 2015 Cougars went 45-15 and earned a final ranking of 20th in the USA Today Coaches Poll. For those efforts, Coach Lee was named Colonial Athletic Association Coach of the Year. On June 18, 2015, Monty was named the head baseball coach at Clemson University and immediately made his mark. In his first season, 2016, the Tigers won 44 games, won the ACC championship for the first time since 2006 by going 4-0 in the ACC tournament. This earned them a number 7 seed in the NCAA tournament and made Clemson University a host for an NCAA regional tournament for the first time since 2011. The 2016 Tigers won 11 of their last 13 games and finished 15th in the USA Today Coaches Poll. The future looks very bright for Clemson University baseball, and it's my pleasure to introduce to you tonight our speaker, Clemson University head baseball coach, Monty Lee.
Thank you very much. I'm grateful to be here, very thankful that Derek put this together and gave me the opportunity to come speak to you tonight. I have a lot of things to say in a short amount of time to say it because I know everybody wants to eat. So I've driven from Clemson today. I tried to get through the traffic. We had the parade at Clemson today. Had to speak at a USSSA coaches clinic at 1 o'clock today. So I've taught baseball for about 2 hours with some youth level coaches and then drove here, changed in the parking lot, and I'm here with you tonight. So, but I'm very, very excited to be here. A couple people I want to recognize before I get started. First is Mr. and Mrs. McCrae. Their son, Logan McCrae, I recruited to come to the College of Charleston, is now at the College of Charleston, and is a fine young man from the Florence area and from a great family, along with Larry Jewell, who I saw in the crowd, who, for those of you that don't know Mr. Jewell, when I was at the University of South Carolina, he went out of his way to be one of the nicest human beings I've ever been around, and extremely supportive of the coaches at the University of South Carolina, would take us out to lunch and treated us like gold. And he is definitely a man of high character, so I wanted to make sure that I recognized him tonight. I also want to thank Derek Urquhart. I've known Derek for quite some time. He's extremely committed to baseball in our state and in the Florence community, and has done an unbelievable job of turning the Florence Legion program not only into the best in the state, but one to be reckoned with in the Southeast. I have a tremendous amount of respect for Derek. The first thing that I want to talk about before I get into my speech tonight is one of the inductees into the Hall of Fame, Bob Klinkanek. I've known Coach Clank, as we all know him, because nobody can pronounce his last name. I've known him for quite some time. I first came in contact with Coach Clank back in the fall of 2002 when I was working for Ray Tanner at the University of South Carolina, running our hitting camp. And that winter hitting camp, we used to get so many kids to come to this thing. We'd get about 200 kids to come to camp, and it was my job to organize the camp and hire the high school coaches and put them in their stations to work. And I would get there at about 7:30 for a 9 o'clock camp just to make sure everything was right, everything was ready to go. And I can assure you, the first person every year I ran that camp to show up at camp was Coach Clank, and he would bring Barrett. And I can tell you what they did from about 7:30 till that camp started at 9 o'clock. He'd get him in the cage, throwing that left-handed BP, and Barrett would be wearing that L screen out, hitting line drives back up the middle. And he worked with him and worked with him and worked with him. And I can't tell you how that relationship continued to grow year in and year out, and how hard Coach Clank would work at our camps, and our relationship started to develop. Coach Clank would call me a lot of mornings. I was a teacher myself. A lot of people don't realize that when you get into college baseball, you have to start as a volunteer. And my first 2 years of coaching, I was a teacher and a coach at Spartanburg Methodist Junior College. My first 3 years on the staff at University of South Carolina, I taught part-time at a middle school so I could get benefits. And Coach Clank would call me on our rides to work every day. He would be up at 5:30 in the morning getting ready for school, and would call me. And I can tell you, I've never had more positive conversations in my life with another coach than I have with Bob Klinkanek. And I look at Barrett, and I look at what he accomplished in his time in the game of baseball, and now he's working in professional baseball. He played professional baseball for a number of years, and I think if you saw Barrett in high school, you would have never thought that he would have wound up being as good a player and played as long as he did. And I know why he became the player that he became, and it's because of his dad and how much time he spent developing him, not only as a young man. He's a great young man, high character, great work ethic, but he was a tremendous player because of the qualities that his father instilled in him and the qualities that he instilled in the young men that played for him at West Florence High School. I have the utmost respect for Bob Klinkanek. He's one of the reasons why I take what I do so seriously, because of the passion that he has for coaching and the passion that he had for developing young men. And I can tell you this, Coach Clank, you've lived a life of servitude. You inspired me as a young coach, and I can't tell you how grateful I am for our relationship. And you are a man of character, you are a man of God, and somebody that I respect very, very dearly. And that is from the bottom of my heart, and that is the truth. So it's an honor for me to be here today. I would have driven to Florence and done this just to represent him, because of the impact that he has made on this community and the impact that he has made on me. I believe firmly that when you choose a life as a coach, that you choose a life of servitude. I firmly believe that. And I can tell you this just based on my story alone, and I'm not going to talk about me. I'm going to talk about coaching, I'm going to talk about leadership, and I'm going to talk about the impact of athletes on society. But I can tell you this, I started out in very humble beginning. I was a volunteer assistant coach at Spartanburg Methodist. I taught 4th grade full time. I graduated from the College of Charleston in December, and I was looking for a coaching job. I was trying to get into high school baseball. That's what I always wanted to do. I had a passion for coaching, a passion for teaching. Had a degree from the College of Charleston, had just finished playing, and was looking for a coaching job. And I ran into a friend of mine that said, hey, we need a hitting coach at Spartanburg Methodist Junior College. And I said, I'm in. I called the head coach up there, Tim Wallace, who's there today as a Hall of Fame coach in his own right. And I said, Coach, I want to be your hitting coach. And he said, that's awesome. He said, I'm going to go ahead and tell you now, though, it's not going to pay you a penny to do it. And I said, I'm in. So I found a way. I started looking for a teaching job. I got a teaching job at Buffalo Elementary School because it was the only job open in December. A teacher had left the school because she had had a nervous breakdown. And she had 14 boys and 7 girls in the school, and I was the only male in the building besides the janitor. And they gave me that class, and I was off and running in my coaching career. And Melissa Inman was the principal of the school, and I asked her one favor. I said, ma'am, I said, can I ask you one thing? I said, can I do morning duty when they get off the bus in the cafeteria? Can I do morning duty at 7 a.m. and get out when the kids get out at 2:45 so I can drive the 33 miles from Union, South Carolina to Spartanburg so I can coach the Pioneers of Spartanburg Methodist? And she said, deal, but you got to do it the whole year. And I did. I did morning breakfast duty at 7 a.m. I got out 2:45. I drove 33 miles to Spartanburg, and I coached for free for 2 years. In our first year, we went to Grand Junction. The first time Coach Wallace made it to Grand Junction to the Junior College World Series. My life was forever changed. And I did it for free, and I did it because I had a passion for the game of baseball and trying to make an impact on young men's lives. Coach Tanner gave me a chance to be the volunteer assistant coach at South Carolina. One of the greatest men that I've ever associated myself with. And he taught me more than anything else. He taught me one of the most valuable lessons I've ever learned when it comes to the coaching profession. And I think that this is extremely valuable for anybody in any walk of life, is that who we are is more important than what we do. And oftentimes in life, especially with coaches, when you start defining yourself by what you do more so than who you are, that's when we get in trouble in life. Because who we are is far more important than what we do. I certainly hope that one day when my time is up at Clemson University as the baseball coach, that who I am is more important than what I do. That I'm judged on who I am more so than what I've done. Because wins and losses, even though they're great, we all get into this because we want to win championships. We get in it because of the relationships. The relationships that I have with my players are far more superior, and the impact that I make on my players is far superior to any championship I could ever win. And I truly believe that. And I think in life in general, we get in trouble when we forget who we are. Make who you are your priority more so than what you do. Because in this world with young people as they're coming up, there is a lack of leadership in our society today with young people more than ever before. More than ever before. I can take one of my young men as an example. I can take one of my young men and I can run him through a 4-hour practice in the heat, make him run, make him take ground balls, make him hit, make him condition, and I can tell him, you do this and you do this to the best of your ability, you may be a pro player one of these days. And he will do it day in and day out in the heat as hard as he can go to chase that dream to be a professional baseball player after his time at Clemson. But what's he going to do when he goes out with his friends that night and some of them are doing the wrong things, not treating young women the right way, drinking, using drugs, making bad decisions? Will he stand up or will he sit down and allow his teammates and his friends to do that? Will he be a leader? Will he do the right things? That's truly the essence of what coaching is all about. We can make the athlete, we glorify the athlete today based on the tools that God gave him. But God only gives you two things. He gives you the ability to impact other people's lives, and he gives you a talent for you to make money in a career. That's what he does. And when you start worrying about the second one more than you do the first one, that's where we get in trouble. And that is what, in essence, we're trying to do at Clemson or anywhere else that I coach, is make sure that our young men stand up and don't sit down when their peers are making bad decisions. We have to develop young men to do the right things off the field. There's a lack of leadership. There's a lack of leadership in what we do today. You know, we often look at it, or I often look at it as a young man in relationship to a baseball field. What does he do when he's a kid? He leaves home. And he runs to first base, and as he's rounding first base, he goes to second base. And when he gets to second base, that's the farthest he'll ever be from home when he's 18 to 22 years old. As he's getting older and he's rounding those bases of life, he gets to second base. And when he's on second base, he's got the shortstop and the second baseman trying to deceive him. The pitcher's trying to pick him off. And who's he looking to guide him? He's looking to the coach in the third base box. And he wants that coach to do what? Get him around third base and get him back home. And it's so important that we understand that the players that we coach and the people that we influence in our lives and our everyday walk in life, if you are in a position of leadership, that is your responsibility first and foremost. Everything happens twice in our lives. Everything happens twice. You have to visualize it before you can make it a reality. Everything happens twice. If you have a vision of success in your life, a vision of leadership, and you want to make an impact, you have to see it in your mind first before you can make it a reality. We talk about commitment. What kind of level of commitment does it take in life to be successful? I tell our young men the same story every single year about commitment. In the 16th century, Hernando Cortez took a fleet of Spanish soldiers across the ocean to the Yucatan Peninsula. And he got off those boats and he was going to go 500 miles inside the jungle to the Aztec Empire to conquer it. And for 500 years, people had tried to conquer the Aztecs and nobody could do it. Every time they did, they were defeated. But Cortez was a smart man. And when all his soldiers got off the ships, he told them immediately to set fire to the ships and burn the ships. What do you think the level of commitment in those soldiers did in that moment? It went through the roof because they all knew there was no surrender, that their level of commitment meant life and death. And they went 500 miles into the jungle, and the rest is history. They conquered the Aztecs. So when we talk to our players about commitment, in 4 areas, in sport, in academics, in the community, and in our training in the weight room, we want to have a burn the ships level of commitment in what we do. Try to live my life that way as well. We don't surrender. We keep pushing forward. Every day that your feet hit the ground, you get a chance to make a decision. You either get to do what you were about to do that day, or you have to do what you're about to do that day. And I know guys like Coach Clank got up every single day, and they get to be the coach at West Florence High School. There's not a day that he woke up with all the struggles that teachers have to deal with that he thought to himself, man, I have to go teach today. I have to go coach today and deal with parents and deal with players and deal with kids in the classroom. He never did that. He got to do it. And how many of us today, if we just wake up every single day and say to ourselves, you know what? We all deal with struggles in life, but I get to do what I do. I don't have to do any of it. 6 a.m. comes, we got weight training. Buddy, I get to get up and go train with the Tigers every single morning at 6 a.m. in the weight room. I get to bust my rear end to chase a dream. And that's really what it is, to chase a dream. I get to do that. I get to be the head coach at Clemson University. I got to be a coach at a lot of wonderful places. But here I am, and I'm at Clemson now. And I know we got a lot of Gamecock fans in here, and I respect the rivalry as much as anybody. You want to know why? Because I've been on both sides of it. But I get to be where I'm at. I get to do what I do. I don't have to do it. I get to do it. And if you make that decision every day when you wake up that you get to do it over you have to do it, you will live a better life. I can assure you of that. Another thing that we have in our program, and I think it's powerful, so I share it with you. We don't complain about anything. We have a no complaining rule. Think about how more productive you'll be in your life if you don't complain about anything. You are either part of the problem or you are part of the solution in life. It's really that simple. I get to or I have to. Are you a part of the problem or are you a part of the solution? Don't complain about anything. Be great where your feet are. We have one sign in our dugout. We want our players to be great where their feet are. Think about this. All of your failures in life, all the mistakes that you've made. Maybe you didn't talk to your wife the right way this morning. You got frustrated and mad about something and you said something and you think, I probably shouldn't have said that. Or you made a mistake. Or you failed at something, right? We all fail at something on a regular basis, right or wrong. Every one of those failures, every one of those mistakes is in the past. And if we focus on the mistakes and all of our failures, what type of emotion does it bring to you? Depression and frustration. And when you got that big game on Friday night or Saturday, or you got that big test that you got to take, or you got a job interview, or you've got somewhere you got to be, and you focus on that, that's in the future, that creates what type of emotion? Anxiety. If you focus on the past, it will depress you, and if you focus on the future, it will only cause you anxiety. So be great where your feet are. Live in the moment. Live in the moment. Dominate the day. We have a saying at Clemson, we make the days count, we don't count the days. It's really that simple. Be great where your feet are in anything you do, in sport, in academics, in your community, and in the weight room. Be great where your feet are. In whatever it is you do in your walk of life, be great where your feet are. Whatever you're involved in, make a difference. Another thing I truly believe in is passionate people will always beat logical people. There's a lot of people out there that think they've got all the answers. That's the smartest person in the room. They got all the answers, right? We all deal with them on a regular basis. And I can tell you this, I'll take the person in the room who's the most passionate about what they do, because passion will beat logic any day of the week. Any day of the week. What is your career? What is your life? Your career and your life is today, plus today, plus today, plus today. That's what your career is. That's what your life is. Get in the moment. Be a leader. I do it for relationships. I do what I do for relationships. I honestly think at the end of my time, whenever that may be, I hope I get to coach for another 30 years because it's all I've ever wanted to do in my life. But I hope at the end of my time that every man that has played for me, every young man that's played for me can look back and say, you know what? He made a difference in my life. I truly believe that's what we're put on earth for. I don't think anybody's going to ask you how many championships did you win when your time is up. I don't think anybody's going to really care because that's all going to be in the past. But I think what's really going to matter is, did I turn them into productive people? Did they learn something when they were with me that made a difference? Are they a good husband? Are they a good father? Just like Coach Clank is. Relationships matter. The first man besides my father to ever tell me he loved me was my high school baseball coach. I don't remember anything else the man taught me. I really don't. I know he was a great baseball coach. We won 2 state championships at Lugolf Elgin. I know he was a great coach. I know that. But he told me he loved me when we lost my senior year in the upper state championship. That mattered. I talk to him every single week to this day. I'll never forget the first player that ever hugged me and told me he loved me for what I did for him. I'll never forget that young man, ever. I'll never forget the lessons that I learned from men like Ray Tanner and Mark Calvey and Matt Heath, the head coach at the College of Charleston. I've learned so many lessons from the people that I've been around along the way. And I truly believe, treat your employees, if people work for you, treat your employees great first over your customers. Treat your coaches good first. The people that work for you first, and the rest will take care of itself. What are winners in life? People who are winners do three things, and they all start with C. They're competent, and when you're competent in what you do, you become confident. And when you're confident, you can compete with anybody. Be process-driven over outcome-driven. Oftentimes as athletes and as coaches, when we start worrying about the end result, what happens? We get beat. Instead of just focusing on the next pitch, focusing on the next day, focusing on the next task. The only thing I can control is where my feet are. Winners know the difference between hope and expectation. We all hope to be successful in life, but do we expect it? Do we have an expectation of success in our walk in life, or do we just hope it's going to happen? There's a big difference between you hoping something's going to happen and you expecting something to happen. We're trying to create the right kind of culture. Culture's a big word in sports today. Our culture is driven by this, and I'll tell it to you. We want all our players to be tigers. T is for toughness, mental and physical toughness. How do we develop mental toughness? Can anybody here define to me what mental toughness is? Because anything that I'm going to teach a player, I want him to be able to define it. I just don't want to tell him I want him mentally tough. What is mental toughness? I'll tell you what mental toughness is. Mental toughness is your ability to handle failure without frustration. That's what mental toughness is. The most mentally weak people get the most frustrated the fastest. It's really that simple. When something bad happens to you, can you stay calm? Can you think? Can you breathe? And can you make a good decision? That's mental toughness. That's T. I, integrity. We want young men of integrity. We want people in our program associated that are men and people of integrity. What's integrity? Well, you know what integrity is. Integrity is what you do when nobody's watching. That's what it is. G is gratitude. Be grateful. Tell the people around you who have made a difference in your life that you're grateful for them. Shake their hand. Thank them. Thank you for what you do for us. Gratitude is so important. E is excellence. Strive for perfection to achieve excellence. Vince Lombardi said that. R, relentless. Be relentless in the pursuit of your dreams. S, selfless. We over me. We over me. I want a player to ask me one question. What can I do to help this team win? That's all that matters. What can I do to help you win? What can I do to help make you successful? Be selfless. We want our guys to do that in 4 areas. In sport, academic, community, and in weight room. And in my opinion, that's the essence of coaching. We're always learning. We're always developing. We're always changing. Coaches are the best thieves in the world. We steal information from everybody else. Nothing I said tonight is anything that I came up with. It's just by listening, observing, and trying to get better in my walk of life and in my walk in coaching. I can't tell you how grateful I am to be here with you tonight. To all the Hall of Fame inductees, and for those who have already been inducted into the Florence Hall of Fame, congratulations. You've made an impact on this community. I am a South Carolinian. I'm fortunate. I was born and raised in the state of South Carolina. My whole family's from the state of South Carolina, and I've been able to live here my whole life. I've coached here my whole life. It's very rare that a coach gets that opportunity, and it's a blessing from God, in my opinion. So just want to thank you for having me here tonight, and I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you, Coach Lee, for those inspiring words, and we can certainly see that Clemson University baseball is in very good hands. At this time, we'd like to call Porter Stewart, Chairman of the Florence School District 1 School Board, to deliver our invocation.
Good evening. As I was coming in, I was remarking to those that greeted at the door, it seemed like we had only just done this a couple of weeks ago. The time does fly, doesn't it? And Happy New Year to everyone. At this time, I'd like to ask that you join me in prayer. Our Father in heaven, we do thank you for this opportunity to gather here to recognize tonight's recipients and to celebrate the accomplishments that are set forth before us. But as we do so, we are also mindful that sport in life is a reflection of life itself. It's the game with the rules and the borders, the individual talent, the teamwork. And we thank you that this is a reflection for the application in life at large that you intended for us to live our lives within borders, within the rules that you have set forth for us, that you've given us God-given talents, spiritual gifts, and that our teammates are those that you've placed in this earth, on this earth, during our time together, and that we are called to be good teammates, to develop those skills that we have to your glory and to the work that you've given us. And so keep us mindful of that larger context in which we find ourselves, even as we celebrate and thank you for the gift of sport and accomplishment therein. Now we would ask that you would bless this food to our nourishment, us to your greater service. It's in Christ's name that I pray. Amen.
At this time, we would like to have the inductees and their families, the board members, and other dignitaries to go and get in line first. Once they're through the line, we have two tables at the rear of the room, two lines each table, so everybody should be accommodated very quickly. So at this time, please, inductees, your family, board members, help yourself to dinner. Ladies and gentlemen, please continue to enjoy your dessert. We're going to go ahead and start with the purpose of our program here this evening, and that is the induction of 6 members to the 2017 class of the Florence Athletic Hall of Fame. Our first inductee is Bobby Ray Bridgeman, Sr. Bobby graduated from Klinkanek in 1953, where he played football, baseball, and also ran track. He received a football scholarship to Furman University and graduated from Furman with a Bachelor of Arts degree in education. While in the service from 1954 to 57, he was assigned to special duty at Fort Bragg to play football, basketball, and run track. Coach Bridgeman began his coaching career at Lake City as football and basketball coach from 1965 to 1968, and in 1968 led Lake City to the conference championship and was named Conference Coach of the Year. He then went to Klinkanek, where he was head basketball coach and assistant football coach from 1968 through 70. In 1970, Coach Bridgeman went to West Florence High School, where he was head basketball coach from 1970 through 76, and head football coach and athletic director from 1976 to 78. While at West Florence, the Knights won the West Florence Invitational Basketball Tournament from 1972 through 1975, were region champions in 1976, region tournament champions in 1972 and 73. And for this, Coach Bridgeman was named City Basketball Coach of the Year in 72 and 75, Region Coach of the Year in 1976, and was named Lower State Coach in the 1976 South Carolina All-Star Game. Following his time at West Florence, Bobby coached basketball and tennis at Carolina Academy from 1978 to 2000. His girls' tennis teams won 6 state championships, and in 1995, Coach Bridgeman was voted Coach of the Year by the United States Tennis Association Southern District. In basketball, he was voted Region Coach of the Year at Carolina Academy, in girls basketball in 1984, and Region Coach of the Year in 1989 and 90 for boys basketball. In 1990, he led Carolina Academy to the SCISA Class A state championship with a 21-0 record, and for this received a special commendation by the State House of Representatives for his outstanding accomplishment as leader and coach of the Iron Six. Ladies and gentlemen, our first inductee of the class of 2007 to the Florence Athletic Hall of Fame, Bobby Ray Bridgeman, Sr. Coach Bridgeman will be escorted by his grandchildren Campbell and Cameron Bridgeman, and Porter Stewart, Florence School District 1 Chairman, will be the sponsor.
Good evening. Coach, shining example, ultimate teacher, encourager, loyal, dedicated, mentor, special, great leader, hard work, and the best. All of these words describe one man in this room. Bobby Bridgeman, Coach Bridgeman, Dad, or I'm lucky enough to call him Granddaddy. My name is Cameron Bridgeman, and I'm honored to be able to accept this award for Bobby Bridgeman, also known as Coach Bridgeman, and to our family granddaddy. I have been talking with several of Coach Bridgeman's former players and fellow coaches this past week. I asked them if they would like to share a few words this evening about Coach Bridgeman. They all replied by saying, "Wow, do you understand that that is a very difficult task to put Coach Bridgeman in just a few words?" Their replies made me chuckle. They are 100% correct. I could stand up here for days and never be able to put in words how amazing my grandfather is and what he means to me. But my grandfather did not earn this honorable award because of the impact he made on just my life. He earned this award because of the dedication he showed towards his players and other coaches that stood by his side. I would like to continue by sharing a few of their memories, thoughts, and words of Coach Bridgeman with you. I spoke with Andy Birch. Coach Bridgeman coached Mr. Birch basketball at West Florence High School. Mr. Birch wants to thank Coach Bridgeman for believing in him and giving him the opportunity to play the game he loved, even given his short stature. Mr. Birch told me that Coach Bridgeman shaped him into the person he is today by teaching him hard work, teamwork, discipline, persistence, or the key fundamentals that one needs to succeed, not only in the game, but in life. Mr. Birch said that Coach Bridgeman has always been a shining example of what he taught. Coach Bridgeman, I cannot think of a more deserving person for this award, Andy Birch. I also spoke with Mr. George Jewell. Mr. Jewell was also one of Coach Bridgeman's basketball players at West Florence High School. Mr. Jewell titled Coach Bridgeman as more than just a basketball coach. He said the words of Coach Bridgeman, everybody on the line, haunted him during his time playing basketball at West Florence. However, he continued that these words meant so much more than just another ghastly suicide. As Mr. Jewell reflected on his years playing basketball for Coach Bridgeman, he told me, now some 40-odd years later, I realized that he was teaching us much more than simply how to be successful in the game of basketball. Coach Bridgeman was teaching us the process and the method of how to be successful in the game of life. Mr. Jewell would like to extend his gratitude to Coach Bridgeman for believing that a bunch of boys could be turned into great men with much more than they could ever imagine. George Jewell. The Iron Six. Does that ring a bell to anyone? Travis Copeland played basketball for the famous Iron Six team at Carolina Academy. Mr. Copeland wanted to share the following story. During a regular season game, we came down the court with the ball, and I took a three-point shot and missed. Then I took another three-point shot and missed. For the third time, I tried again, took another three-point shot, and missed. I slowly looked over to my coach, worried about the look that I would get. I'll never forget his words, "You keep shooting. You keep shooting that ball." The lesson I learned is that in life, you can't give up. You must keep shooting for your goals. I've never stopped shooting to this day. Travis Copeland. Tiffany Knight Graham was another one of Coach Bridgeman's players. Coach Bridgeman coached Tiffany in tennis at Carolina Academy. These are her words she would like to share with Coach Bridgeman this evening. Coach Bridgeman taught me the meaning of commitment, dedication, and hard work. He spent countless hours with me on the tennis court and was like a father to me. I admire and respect him tremendously. He had the biggest impact on my life of any other than my parents. Now that I'm a mom, I pray that my two boys will have someone like Coach Bridgeman in their lives. Tiffany Knight Graham. Catherine Landrum Mappis also played tennis for Coach Bridgeman at Carolina Academy. She shares the following words. Bobby Bridgeman was my coach, my teacher, my mentor, and without a doubt, one of the most important people in my life. He spent hours upon hours on the tennis court with me, teaching me not only the game of tennis, but also the importance of hard work, honesty, fairness, loyalty, dedication, and never giving up. I cannot think of a more deserving person for this honor, and I'm so grateful for those wonderful years out on the court. We love you, Coach Bridgeman. Catherine Landrum Mappis. Another tennis player for Coach Bridgeman at Carolina Academy was Betsy Mcdaniel Marshall. These are her words. Coach Bridgeman was a master of sport, leading my tennis team to victories year after year. But besides being our dear tennis coach, he was our life coach. He dedicated all of himself to his players, and he turned the I can'ts into I cans and then the I wills. Coach Bridgeman could find the fire in one's eyes long before they ever knew they had it, and ignite that fire to create great champions. He taught strength, endurance, and tough love. There are none that will ever compare to the legendary mentor, and I know that there are hearts all over this room that are filled with a little bit more joy tonight. As our Coach Bridgeman, our legend, is presented with the wonderful honor. Congratulations, Coach. Rebecca Weaver also wanted to share some of her thoughts on Coach Bridgeman. Coach Bridgeman coached Rebecca in tennis at Carolina Academy. Coach Bridgeman gave Rebecca his dedication and love of the game. Rebecca said, "He always expected my best effort. But with Coach Bridgeman, you didn't want to give him anything but your very best because he always gave me his best." Mr. Bobby has always been such a special person to me. He has been a big influence that still impacts my life today. Rebecca Weaver. Coach Bridgeman mentored Frank Norwood during his years at West Florence. He states, "Great leaders must first of all know what they are doing. They must have the knowledge and understanding of the sport. Coach Bridgeman was the most knowledgeable coach I ever worked with. He knew the game, all the games, not just basketball. One of my most admired qualities that Coach Bridgeman demonstrated was as a teacher. On the very basic level of any sport, Coach Bridgeman excelled in teaching the individual how to perform the skills needed for success. He taught me how to be a coach and provided me many opportunities to be successful. For hundreds of others, he did the same. He was to me the ultimate teacher. John Wooden once said, "Success is a peace of mind, which is a direct result of self-satisfaction and knowing that you did your best to become the best you are capable of becoming." Thanks, Coach Bridgeman, for expecting the best of me and for everyone you have coached and mentored. Collectively, we have made a difference in this world, and thank you for your significant part in making the world a better place. I cannot end my words without a Vince Lombardi quote, one that I think exemplifies Coach Bridgeman as a coach and one that many of you out there will likely say amen to. Let me tell you what winning means. You are willing to go longer, work harder, give more than anyone else. May God bless all your days, my friend, and thanks for the memories. Frank Norwood. Earlier, I mentioned that I am Coach Bridgeman's granddaughter. Besides my daddy, my grandfather was the first man I loved. I am by far a granddaddy's girl. Granddaddy was my first best friend, my first coach, and other than my parents, my first teacher of life in general. For those of you who do not know, Granddaddy taught and coached me tennis from the age of 4. I am proud to say that I followed my granddad's footsteps and now coach tennis at Darlington High School. I have always treasured all the advice he has given me, even when I thought I knew it all and showed my tail on the tennis court sometimes. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, believe it or not, I have Coach Bridgeman wrapped around my little finger, and I never had to run a dreadful suicide. Do what has to be done, when it has to be done, do it to the best of your ability, and do it all the time. It's something I will never forget Granddaddy saying. Like some of you here tonight, I am the person I am today because of the impact my grandfather has made throughout my life. In closing, on behalf of Coach Bridgeman, I would like to give you his most heartfelt appreciation for honoring him this evening. Thank you, and I love you, Granddaddy.
Thank you, Cameron. Our next inductee into the Florence Athletic Hall of Fame is Michael Glenn Hawkins. Michael graduated from Wilson High School in 1981, and at Wilson High School kept stats for basketball, volleyball, and football teams, was senior class president, 1981 Allie E. Brooks Award winner, member of the National Honor Society, Mu Alpha Theta, and 1980 South Carolina Boys State. After Wilson High School, Mike began his career at Francis Marion University, where he served as Student Sports Information Director from 1981 to 85, served as Sports Information Director and News Writer in the Francis Marion University Office of Communication for 21 years. Since 2006, he has served as the Associate Athletic Director for Media Relations and Marketing and has been, in the past, Chairman of the Peach Belt Conference Sports Information Directors Committee. Mike served as the Director of Information for the Women's National Basketball Tournament for the NAI District 6 in the 1980s and was on the stat crew for 4 NAIA men's basketball national tournaments in 1989, 90, 91, and 92. In 2012, Francis Marion named their press box at the Griffin Athletic Complex for him. He's worked the Peach Belt Conference and National Championship tournaments at Wildcat Francis Marion, and was honored with the inaugural Peach Belt Conference SID Office of the Year Award in 2013-14 season. He has also served on the Florence Recreation Baseball, Dixie Youth World Series, and state tournament committees, and has coached in recreation youth sports, football, soccer, softball, and basketball. Ladies and gentlemen, 2017 inductee to the Florence Athletic Hall of Fame, Michael Hawkins. Michael will be sponsored by Eric Barlow of Chick-fil-A. First, let me thank the committee and Chick-fil-A for giving me this humbling honor. Second, let me offer apologies to Coach Lee for arriving late during his remarks. In SID's life, we had a home basketball doubleheader. Got here as quick as I could after I updated the website and got the stats out. Ephesians 4:11 says, "And he, Christ, gave some as apostles and some as prophets, and some as evangelists, and some as pastors and teachers." If I can put this in terms of athletics, some were gifted to be athletes, some coaches, some athletic trainers, and some media relations personnel or SIDs. When athletes finish their careers, often they go into coaching or glamorous broadcasting careers, but rarely do they enter the field of sports information. We are the guys who didn't quite have the talent to play, the ones chosen 10th in a pickup game, or the guy batting 9th and playing right field in youth baseball. But we keep a mean scorebook, and most likely we're going to be the ones who grew up who can tell you who can drive in that runner from third with less than 2 outs in the latter 3 innings versus a left-handed pitcher in a conference game on the road played during the day on artificial turf. That's why I'm so humbled to be chosen for this induction. I hope to proudly represent all those less talented individuals who fill a niche in the sports arena. My induction is surely built on the shoulders of those already in the hall, like the 18 individuals with ties to Francis Marion University and the handful of others that I've worked with at Wilson High School and in the Florence community. One in particular to thank is Coach Tommy Johnson. In 1978, while the Wilson Junior Varsity Boys Basketball team was in the midst of its 80-game winning streak, I tried out for the squad. I didn't make the cut. For some reason, Coach Johnson thought that Gerald Kennedy, among others, had more to offer than a slow 5'11" guard with a suspect outside shot. But upon that disappointment, my career was built. Not for that cut, then Wilson teacher Dow Hammond would not have asked me to help him keep stats for the boys and girls basketball team of Coach Ann Long and Jeffrey Scott, which later led to work with Coach Long's volleyball team and Coach Ellis C. Means' football team. If not for that cut, I would not have traveled with the Wilson girls basketball team to Somerville High School for a state playoff game in 1981, where I found my soulmate playing point guard for the Green Wave. Not for that cut, when I graduated from Wilson, a vice president of Francis Marion named Jack Baker, who knew of my interest in sports information, might not have offered me a student SID position. Not for that cut, a position might not have come open in the Francis Marion Public Relations Office after my college graduation, and I might not be finishing my 32nd year as SID of the Patriots. Much thanks goes to the 2 athletic directors that I have been fortunate to work with, Gerald Griffin and Murray Hartzler, and to the PR directors at the university, Bob Ward, Jerry Smith, and Gary Ballard. I'm appreciative of opportunities to coach
and worked with the Florence Recreation Department, to have worked with the Carolina Classic basketball tournament when it was played at Francis Marion, and I'm grateful for all those in the sports departments of the local media. I want to thank Allie Brooks, past principal of Wilson High School, for teaching all his students at the school on North Irby Street that we were all special and gifted with talents no matter the background we came from. And by the way, as an SID, I'd be amiss if I didn't point out that Dr. Brooks holds the Wilson boys single-game rebounding record with 35. Those are the type things that SIDs bring to the sports world. I need to thank my parents for taking me to all those ball games as a kid and instilling in me a love of sports, and for listening to all my trivial sports knowledge. And especially I need to thank my wife Kim and children Leah and Dakota for allowing me to stay in this profession. Sports information directors work long hours, weekdays and weekends, and sometimes there's precious little spare time. They still loved me and understood SID time, which meant when they asked how long before I finished up and got home, and I said 45 minutes, they knew 2 hours. Finally, a special thanks to all the athletes who gave me releases to write, videos to edit, and stats to record. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike. Our next inductee in the 2017 Florence Athletic Hall of Fame is John Gerald Kennedy. Gerald graduated from Wilson High School in 1981, and at Wilson High School was Team Freshman of the Year, Team MVP sophomore and junior years, All-City as junior and senior, All-Conference as a junior and senior, and the All-Conference Tournament team as a senior. Gerald was named as a All-State player as a senior and the McDonald's All-American as well. He was honored by the Palmetto Scouting Service as an honorable mention All-State as a senior and a South All-Star selection for the North-South All-Star basketball game as a senior and was voted the best all-around athlete at Wilson High. Gerald was also one of the first great dunkers in high school basketball in this part of the state, as the dunk had not been around all that long when he began playing. After graduating from Wilson, he attended junior college at the College of Southern Idaho, where he was MVP as a freshman and sophomore, made the NJCAA Region 18 All-Region First Team in 1982-83 season, was a junior college All-American as a freshman and sophomore. He transferred to Virginia Tech as a junior and senior. His junior year, the team was ranked as high as 11th, and his senior team as high as 3rd. In his college career, he scored more than 1,800 points, had over 300 assists, and over 500 rebounds. In 1986, he graduated with a BS in psychology from Catawba College. After his playing days at Virginia Tech, he went on to an extended, illustrious professional career, playing professional basketball in Ireland for 12 years, where he was the MVP of the road speed team. He won 2 cup championships and 3 league championships and 2 other Final Fours in European play. He averaged 35 points a game and still holds a unique record where he made the longest shot in European League history, 78 feet, with 1 second left to win the championship. He's currently retired from playing and coaches boys and men's basketball in Ireland. In 1989, he served on the Governor's Council on Physical Fitness and the Palmetto State Games Board of Directors. Ladies and gentlemen, 2017 inductee into the Florence Athletic Hall of Fame, Gerald Kennedy. Sponsoring Mr. Kennedy will be Lindsay Timmons, father of 2010 Florence Area Athletic Hall of Fame inductee, Lawrence Timmons.
Wow. What a trip. And I don't just mean from the time I was born. I mean, like, what a trip. I've been traveling the last day or two, 9-hour flight from London, 1-hour trip from Dublin, and I'm back on the flight in less than 24 hours. I prepared a speech, but I'm looking out in this audience, and all I can see is great memories, and I want to reminisce just a little bit. So instead of using my speech, I'm going to use my heart. And I'd like to first start by saying thanks to God, and because without him, I couldn't have achieved any of these things. But also without him, all of these great people that were in my life and are in my life, I couldn't have achieved any of these things. Two of the first people I want to thank is two dear friends of mine. One can't be here with us tonight, but the other one is sitting over here to my left. You know, friendship is something that's very important and always has been very important to me. But these two guys I got to grow up, and I mean literally, we grew up in diapers together. One of them is Daniel Elby. We've been knowing each other since, it had to be 1 or 2? I couldn't remember it. But when it started, I couldn't forget it either. So I want to thank Daniel for not only teaching me to be a very competitive player, competitive person, and a pretty good artist as well, because he taught me how to draw. But he also taught me the importance of friendship. But it just wasn't me and Daniel. There's another friend of ours that he can't be here tonight. We lost him there a few months ago. Again, each of us were left and right hands to each other, and that's Michael Gardner. Mike, just before he passed away, he was speaking to me about this, and what a great honor it was. And any of my family members and friends that are here, I'm a pretty shy guy, if you don't know me. And I really didn't know how important this was, but he sort of brought it back to me and let me know how important this was, because it went from being Gerald or G or Dr. Duncanstein to Hall of Fame. And it was more than the Hall of Fame that he was trying to get across to me. He was saying, like, Gerald, it's the steps that you took to get here and the people that helped you take those steps to get where you're going. And it really didn't hit me until I got the phone call that he passed away. So I got to think about it a bit more, and I began to understand it even more about what the Hall of Fame is about. It's not just the achievements, it's the friends and family that walk that path with you. So Danny and Mike, I love the both of you guys, and I thank you so much for actually helping me become the person, the friend, possibly, hopefully the son, the nephew, the student that all of you guys wanted me to be. Because being the player, it was important, but I don't think that's the most important thing right now. So I thank you for helping me on my path, on that journey, getting it started. Okay. The next three people I wanted to thank are actually sitting in this audience tonight as well. And I know how we start out as young kids and we have sporting heroes, and usually our sporting heroes come from television and magazines, and that wasn't for me. My heroes I can actually reach out and touch long before I became a big fan of Dr. J, one of my greatest idols, but I didn't know him. But these three people I could actually reach out and touch and have a conversation with, even trying to, sorry Mr. Brooks, but even trying to sneak into the games at a very young age. Sorry, Mom, as well. Trying to sneak into these games when I was only a toddler to watch the likes of Miss Pearl Moore and Mr. Ricky Sells. Like I said, you guys were my heroes long before I had a hero that you can, see on the telly. You guys were truly my heroes. Going down to the boys' club or going to the parks and waiting my turn, very young, but hoping that you would call my name and said, "We got little fella. We want him to play." Never got that call, but it was still great. It was still great to watch you guys perform because you gave me that competitive spirit, that hunger, and that drive to want to be, on that court at some stage. Like I said, you were teaching me to be a professional long before I knew what being a professional was. So I'd like to thank Pearl and Ricky for that. Now, getting back to Mr. Brooks, you've taught me more than any man I think I've ever met. Yeah, your teaching for me it walks for me every day. In my teaching with kids in schools and camps and speaking to kids, I take Florence with me every day, and there's quite a few people that I mention, and you're one of those people. Because you were always telling me, be better than you were yesterday, Gerald. Always. Even when I was clowning. I like to think I wasn't a bad kid, but I know I was a clowner. But you stuck behind me, you always pushed me. Even I know I was never going to break your rebounding record. I gave it a shot. I think I may have gotten 12 rebounds in one game or something like that, That was the closest I was going to get to it, but I said I knew I could score with you. So I did my best at trying to do that as well. But you taught me not only to be, a good student, you taught me how to be a great leader. You wanted me to be a good leader. It took a while to get there, but I think I have it now. A lot of drive. Like I said, yourself, Miss Moore, Mr. Sells, you were my heroes long before I had a hero. Walking away from home. Now moving on, you may see me sitting at a table with these beautiful young ladies here at this table. And all of these young ladies at this table, the reason why they're sitting at this table is because if you ever heard this saying, it takes a village to raise children. There's my village. Sitting at the head of that table is my mother. I have two of my aunties. I have my second mother. My mother, as my mother's best friend, is sitting there. And she said, she wouldn't give me how long they were friends there in the car, but she said, a long time. And two of my mother's best friends. And one of my mother's best friends, her daughter's here, and we were born on the same day, and we've been always best friends. But as they say, it definitely takes a village to raise children. And without those ladies, truly, guys, there would be no me. Could not have done any of this, achieved any of this without them. And I have no trophies in my home. I live in Europe, have no trophies in my home. They're all in my mom's house. And I got to walk through there today and I got to see a lot of them. Some of them real dusty. Some of them were kind of thrown, on the tables and chairs. She's going to get a surprise tomorrow because I've actually took a few of them out. And I've sort of put them in places where she didn't think they should be or want to be. But I got to walk through memory lane and some of those things, and all of them had fond memories in them. Like I said, Mom telling me not to dribble the ball through the house. You can't shoot there, Gerald. You can't do this. You can't do that. Leave your sisters alone. They don't want to play any basketball. But they put up with me. They really did. My two sisters, Vaughn and Gail, both were cheerleaders, and not just with uniforms on, guys. They truly were two of my biggest supporters, two of my biggest mentors, probably even my saviors, because like I said, they kept me on the straight and narrow, meaning like I said, Gerald, listen, you can't do this, you can't do that. When I thought I could, and looking back on the hindsight, really is 2020. Because like I said, I've had a great group of people with me, not walking behind me, not pushing me. I mean, they truly were walking beside me. When I got caught up, I was always behind them. So I like to thank my sisters, my mothers, our village, and also the city of Florence. Because the city of Florence, people just doesn't know what a hotbed of talent is here, and we're not just talking sports. There's people all over from this community. And I get to fly quite a bit, guys, and it's amazing when I find people that are actually from my hometown, I know about my hometown, and just to know how maybe a small community, small city, but we're truly our leaders in the world. They've taught me so much, this community, and being, like, again, a great sports leader, and so on. I can thank each and every one of you. I would love to thank you personally, but like I said, I hope my voice is reaching you guys, and I'm hoping when you leave here tonight, you can actually reach someone with not just what I said, but the likes of Mike, Coach, all of these people that are being inducted and had been inducted. I hope you can actually walk out of here tonight knowing, like, listen, it's so much bigger than all of this, this achievement, this award. It really does mean a lot to me now. But I had to go down that memory lane to let you know exactly what that award really means to me. It's not the award, it's the people that are pushing you and pushing for you to achieve these things. Like I said, I wasn't going to take you long, guys. I'm pretty sure you're glad I didn't take out that speech, because I think I'll be up here all night, because Vaughn is back there now going, you know, that's our chief, and what chief says must go. But there's just one more person I'd like to thank before I walk out of here tonight, guys. And again, like I said, I've had some really great coaches, from Coach Long, Scooby Long, to Coach Shady Scott, Tommy Johnson, Rick Ostrander. I mean, I can go on and on. So if I miss anyone, guys, it's not because I haven't forgotten you. It's just that I am getting old. But there's one gentleman sitting here tonight, and he's my mother's nephew. His name is Michael G. And Mike means the world to me, guys, because he was the guy that truly was pushing me when I was 5 and 6 and 7 years of age and wanting to do other things, but he was sitting there saying, like, listen, you kept telling me this is your dream. You want to be not the best player, but you want to be the best that you could be. He always pushed me at that. I mean, I would go in crying to Mom, saying Mike is picking on me again, and he'll come in and say, no, we're just sitting there, we're just playing a little basketball. But now he's finished basketball, he's gonna have to go to football, and once he finished football, he has to go to baseball, and now he has to run track. Now he also has to play Rat Patrol. If any of you guys remember the TV series, Rat Patrol, Mike was that guy. Mike was that guy who was pushing me in that red fire wagon over ramps. So I'd like to thank you, Mike, because without that, I wouldn't be standing here. So everyone that I thanked here, guys, from talking to all the coaches, from watching Coach back there and talking about Aaron Douglas, again, he was one of my favorite players as well. For you guys to sit here and say, like, all the great things you said about me, guys, think about the people that really came before me, because I couldn't shine the way those guys shine. I couldn't shine the way that Aaron shined. There were some real great players that came before me, guys. So without them, again, there would be no me. Last of all, guys, I tell the kids and the guys that I coach each and every day, I wake up every morning, the first thing I say to myself is first or second. And that doesn't mean I want to be first. That means I'm going to give my first effort every day, every day. So every morning that you wake up from now on, guys, look in that mirror and say, first. And make sure you give yourself that chance to give your first effort each and every day. And Mike, you should have been on that team. You should have been on that team. We were teammates for a long time. So guys, I hope I didn't bore you too much. I appreciate you. I love you. And thank you for giving me your ear just for this short little time. Mom, thanks for being my greatest supporter, my greatest mentor, and also my greatest teacher. Could not have done any of this without you. So thank you. And I thank you guys as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gerald. Our next inductee into the Florence Athletic Hall of Fame, class of 2017, is Robert David Bob Klinkanek. Bob graduated high school from Northwood High School in Montgomery County, Maryland in 1969. He then attended the University of South Carolina and graduated in 1973 with a BS in education and an MBA from Webster University. In high school, he was an all-county player, Northwood High in baseball, basketball, and football. From high school, he went to the University of South Carolina, where he played basketball on the freshman team in 1969 for Buck Freeman. Played on the University of South Carolina baseball team for Coach Bobby Richardson, 1969 through 1973. Served as captain of the USC baseball team as a senior in 1973, and served as a graduate assistant for the baseball team in 73-74, and the USC team made the World Series that year. Following high school, he began his coaching career at West Florence High, where he served as an assistant football coach from 1977 to 1990, served as head baseball coach for 38 years, from 1977 through 2015. His career record at West Florence was 632 wins against 303 losses. He is currently ranked third in total wins in the South Carolina high school baseball history. The Knights won the state championship under Coach Klank in 1995 and were runners-up in 1997. Region champions 7 times, making the playoffs 32 of his 38 seasons as the Knights head coach. And for his efforts, he was South Carolina Coach of the Year in 1995, Region Coach of the Year 5 times, and coach for the South Carolina-North Carolina High School All-Star Baseball game in 2000 and 2009. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome 2017 Florence Athletic Hall of Fame inductee, Coach Bob Klinkanek. Sponsoring Bob will be Adam Plug from McLeod Health Systems.
First of all, I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame committee for the great job they do in Florence, honoring such great people in our community. I'm from the North, but we have a special place here in Florence who looks up to people who do for the community. It's an honor for me to be in this, but I couldn't do it by myself. I had good coaches, I had good players, and I had a great family. Many others also helped to make me be successful in my teaching and my coaching. First of all, I don't know how many players out here I got, but I'd like for my players that are in the audience to stand up. I know I got Anton, and I know I got Cecil here, and Barrett here. Got one behind me. These young men, I'm so proud. DJ, I'm sorry, Dave. These young men have a special place in my heart, as every team member and every team that I coach do. I have special memories of them, they have special memories of me, but I'm so thankful for the people they've grown up to be in their community, some here in Florence, some in Columbia, wherever they're at, and the family members, the family men they've become into. I also, again, would like to stand up the coaches that coach with me and have coached with me for my coaching career. I'd like for them to stand up. Please, if you'll stand up. I know I got a group here. And as Monty said, thank you. These men sacrifice much. As Monty said earlier, you're only strong as the assistants that you have. I had great men that sacrificed much, They have a special passion for the game of baseball and a passion for the guys who play it, which is a rare commodity these days. They sacrificed much so they could teach these young men fundamentals. Some of them were teachers, some of them were coaches, some of them worked in the post office, some of them worked in the local lumber yard, some of them were college players, some of them, again, were pro players that came back to help me. But all these men worked together to teach these young people the importance of being a good person. And also, I'd like to thank my family. I'd like to thank Mary Lynn. I'd like to thank Lindsay. I'd like to thank Barrett. For the times they had to sacrifice, they sacrificed much so that I could be at the ball field cutting grass, or I could be helping somebody else throwing BP, you know. But they had a lot to do with my career. They had a lot to do with me being able to do what I wanted to do. I'd also like to thank the support of our community, Chick-fil-A behind us, some of the other people that support this, and some of our fundraisers. The community supported us because it's important that we raise money to have the good programs. I'd like to thank the rec department for they helped in having leagues out there at the school. I'd like to thank the Legion, the Junior Legion teams, for helping build a strong program. I've got George Rigby on here. He was the voice of the West Florence Knights concession stand. Also, Gary Smintana and Scott Collins for helping with many projects at the field. School officials. This includes principals, athletic directors, board members, people that worked on the field with me, again, their support through all the years. Many parents. It takes parents to run the concession stand. It takes parents to come out on work days. Many parents and other people that were friends of Knights baseball. But there's certain people in my life that influenced me and made me the coach and the person that I am today. I know it's a long list, but I wrote them down because each person had an influence on me. First of all, I want to thank God for giving me to bringing me to Florence, and like I said, for putting me in situations, teachable moments where I have with these young men. I'd like to thank my dad. Some of you older people in here know Bill Wilhelm. He was a great influence on my life. Bobby Richardson, June Raines, Jim Morris, Ray Tanner, Monty Lee, Turtle Thomas, Eddie Hill, Curtis Hudson, Steve Williams, Bubba Dorman, John Doherty, Sean Heffernan, Kevin Elliott, Josh Brown. All these were good Christian men, Wayne Cato, that helped me to develop into the coach that I was. I'm not the same person as I was when I first started. Like Monty says, we continue to improve. You get better all the time. A good definition of coaching is teaching and caring about people. It takes more sacrifice and dedication to be successful in the game of baseball and in the game of life. Coaching is doing extra, making a commitment to doing something the right way, no matter how long it takes. Fundamentals, some of my players know. Practice matters. Some of my players know that too. Some of the sayings that we used, and like he said earlier, we're thieves. These aren't mine. These are things that we say each day to try to motivate our players. Practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. I know some of my players can recite these with me. Don't practice for exercise. Practice with a purpose. You either get better or you get worse. You never stay the same. Learn for today, learn from today, and get better tomorrow. Practice was well organized at West Florence to teach and master fundamentals and game-like situations. Practice was tough and more demanding than the game. Preparation for a baseball game is much like preparation for the game of life. We stressed our players to make good choices and good decisions on and off the field. I tried my best to keep them accountable for their actions, their choices, and their decisions. God gave me many teachable moments for teaching lifelong lessons to my young men. Some of these included, and you've heard these from some of the people before, respect for others, even umpires, cooperation, teamwork, pride in your team accomplishments, character does count, being unselfish, being humble, compete at all times, trust in yourself and in your teammates, work for what you want, and learn from today and get better tomorrow. I can tell you honestly, a day doesn't go by since I retired that I don't think about. I have those things in my heart, the memories in my hearts. Whether it be a wheelbarrow with a flat tire moving dirt at the ball field, whether it be a dive and catch at Riley Park to beat Sumter, whether it be losing the school bus on I-95, or the school bus catching on fire on the way home from Georgetown. There was a group, I won't name any names, that had a t-shirt made on our last conference game. We were 9-0, and they had a 10-0 undefeated t-shirt under the jersey. And we fell behind in that game. I didn't have any idea they had the shirts on. And it got late innings, and as they got late innings, they started squibbling over in the dugout a little bit. But we finally pulled that game out too. A perfect 5-inning game at Sockasty. 7 in the 7th inning with nobody out in the playoff game. An 0-2 walk-off home run to extend the playoff run. 3 grand slams and consecutive at-bats for a player. Going to Charleston in the playoffs was something I'll never forget. It's kind of like going into Carolina. You know, when you guys play, it's kind of a den of thieves. And I got the closest I've ever been thrown out at Stratford one night. Getting run over in a third base coaching box by one of my players that ended up playing for Coastal Carolina football. But like I said, these are just a few of the stories. My players, my coaches have many stories. But I'm proudest of my players that have gone on in their communities and are making a difference in society, making a difference in their community, and making a difference in their families. I'd like you all to count your blessings tonight, because we have so much to be thankful for. And may God continue to bless you and your families. Thank you very much.
Brian graduated from West Florence High School in 1991 and from Wofford in 1994 with a degree in biology. At West Florence High School, he was a 5-year letterman in soccer, 3-year team captain in soccer MVP as a junior, was all-conference as a junior and senior, and voted one of the top 50 soccer players as a junior. In football, he was a 2-year letterman, all-conference as a junior, and set school records for most consecutive extra points with 37, and a school record for the longest field goal of 52 yards, and won in 1991 the Lynch Award. In college at Wofford, he was a 4-year starter and letterman. 1994 was an All-American by the American Football Coaches Association. He set numerous school records, including for most field goals in a season with 12, was team scoring leader in 1993 with 61 points, set school records with most field goals attempted, most career points by a kicker, and record for extra points with 141. At Wofford, he had 25 career field goals. He also set a record for consecutive extra points made with 54, and was second in the nation as a senior with field goal accuracy at 81.8%. In 1994 was an honorable mention selection on the C.M. Frank Small University All-America team. In 1994, preseason All-American by the Sporting News. And in 1993, honorable mention by National Football Gazette. Ladies and gentlemen, 2017 inductee into the Florence Athletic Hall of Fame, Brian Porzio.
It's very nice to look around the room tonight and see a lot of familiar faces. There's faces from the past in reference to West Florence. There's some connections to Wofford. There's church connections. Every level that I ever played on, there's a connection here tonight. And for that, I'm thankful. It's all those past acquaintances that truly make this an honor. It's awesome to stand up here with these other inductees for tonight and all the previous men and women that have been inducted and look at and celebrate people's achievements. It wasn't too long ago, actually 1986, that I vividly remember being at the Moore Intermediate gym with Coach Clank as my PE coach. But at that time, Moore had, I guess, a school function. And the function at the time was a guest speaker. And the guest speaker at the time was the great Harry Carson. Most of us here know that Harry Carson, Florence native, wonderful man, somewhere in there, wonderful football career, a Super Bowl with the Giants, did a lot of great, great things. But as he spoke that day, somebody in the 8th grade listened to some of his words. He said some things like, hard work, what does it mean? How do you obtain it? How do you continue to do it? He said things like, surround yourself with good people. Things like, try to reach your God-given potential. Those are the things that are the foundation for every level of success on a sports field or in life. So as I remember that day long ago with a little more gray hair or less hair, as I remember that day and I remember those words spoken by Harry, this evening becomes a greater honor for me as I know that Mr. Carson was actually in this hall as part of their initial induction. So that means a little bit more to me knowing that he touched my life back then and now I share something with him. While we all have accomplishments that the Hall of Fame's, the Board of Directors deemed worthy for our inductions tonight, we all know that there's no such thing as accomplishments that are reached alone. There's a team of important people that I am very appreciative for regarding every single thing that I was able to accomplish throughout my playing days leading up to and through West Florence and Wofford College. Firstly, every athlete has and knows and gives to his sport only with what God gave him. So above all else, I thank God tonight. I thank God for all the blessings and abilities that he's ever given me. Secondly, my success truly is directly related to having parents that were very supportive in every way possible. I'm very lucky that they're here tonight. I'm one of the back tables supporting me once again, as they were happily all those years to do the things and give me the opportunities that I had. I thank them for their love, for their encouragement, for their dedication in supporting my love for sports. I thank you for every uniform, every cleat, every tank of gas you ever purchased to take me everywhere we needed to go to give me that opportunity as well. It also brings me great excitement to be able to share this night with my wife and my children. While my playing days are long gone, my life has turned into something better. And that better is that now Stacy and I get to support our kids, support them in all the ways that they need to be supported for their love of sports. We get no pleasure right now in our lives beyond seeing our kids participate, work hard, and compete on the playing field. Thirdly, I thank all the coaches that I had over the years that pushed me, motivated me, and helped me to develop, to become a better athlete, but ultimately a better person. I'm thankful for the days that my father actually coached me. Several different sports. You know, you can only take your father so long before he has to pass you on to somebody else. Somewhere in there is, I could only take care of them and coach them so long before they weren't going to listen to me anymore, so I passed them on to somebody else. But in there is, my dad was my first great coach. Along with all the other Little League, Pee Wee League coaches, I also want to thank specifically some coaches from West Florence, which includes Billy Andrews, who's here tonight. Coach Andrews, you gave me an opportunity in the 8th grade. Somewhere in there is you saw something in me, you believed in me, and I had a good, wonderful 5 years that set me up for other successes. I also thank and want to thank everything that Coach Neville Files did for me in regards to West Florence. I know everybody in this room knows Neville. You know, he's passed on, and we truly love him, and I'm thankful for what he also did for me. I also thank Coach Lee Hanning and Coach Mike Ayers, two Wofford connections that gave me a chance at being successful at the collegiate level. All of them played major roles in my development and my success, which leads to tonight. Finally, I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame's Board of Directors. As with any honor such as tonight, the athlete has to go out and perform. They have to amass a level of play that substantiates them being inducted. But I also know that the board truly holds values for the life lessons that are learned through sports. All the life lessons that are learned on a practice court or on a playing field that shape boys and girls into young men and women. I'm thankful for this evening. I am grateful for this honor and the induction, and I'm appreciative for the Board of Directors' efforts and their vision to celebrate the successes of our local talented athletes. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you, Brian. Our final inductee this evening into the Florence Athletic Hall of Fame is Clyde Wren. Clyde graduated from Chester High School in 1961 and Spartanburg Junior College in 1963, then later from North Carolina State University in 1965. Later received a master's degree in education from Western Carolina University. While in high school, his high school coaching career includes winning state championships at Southside High School here in Florence in 1967, 68, and 69. Was the head girls basketball coach and assistant football coach at Southside from 1965 to 70. Helped start the football program at West Florence High School and was the first head football coach in 1970. And served as West Florence athletic director and head girls basketball coach from 1970 to 72. His college coaching resume includes recruiting coordinator for Clemson University, football 1972 through 77, a scout for the Denver Broncos 1984 and 85, director of football operations and football recruiting for Clemson under Danny Ford from 1986 through 91, football recruiter and assistant athletic director for high school relations for the University of South Carolina football from 1993 to 2004, director of football operations at Southern Miss University 2011-2012, worked with the University of South Carolina athletic director Ray Tanner and the Gamecock Club development arm of the athletic department in 2012, and returned as Director of High School Relations with current University of South Carolina head football coach Will Muschamp in 2016. Ladies and gentlemen, 2017 inductee to the Florence Athletic Hall of Fame, Clyde Wren. Accepting on behalf of Clyde Wren is Gerald Holly.
I was going to tell you I am not Clyde Wren. I might be his look-alike, but I'm not Clyde Wren. But I'm a friend of, colleague of Clyde Wren, and it's an honor to be here and stand in for him tonight. First of all, he wants me to convey to you his appreciation to the committee for his selection into the Athletic Hall of Fame here. He also sends his regrets for not being here. He is still a working man, a long career. This happened, he's at the University of South Carolina, as you heard. He's Director of High School Relations. This is a huge recruiting football weekend at South Carolina, so he really didn't feel like he could ask Coach Muschamp to release him for this evening. It just so happens for a 3-day event, Saturday is the busiest one of all. So I told him I'd be glad to stand in with him. We met first at Southside High School. We were both coaching football. Of course, he also coached baseball, as you heard, and girls basketball. It was in baseball that he had a phenomenal record. At that time, Southside High School, and Jerry Lee's, he knows this, it was a mecca for baseball. The school won 5 state championships in a very short period of time. And Clyde won with his teams in 66, 67, 68, and 69. During those years, he had some phenomenal baseball players. And some of the baseball players, in fact, are already in this Hall of Fame. I know I saw Bobby Jordan earlier. Where's Bobby? Stand up. Bobby Jordan's one of his players, and he's already in this Hall of Fame. We also have Wilbur Cole in the Hall of Fame, and we also have Don Hood in the Hall of Fame here. And we have others nominated. So that gives you some idea of the strength of those teams back then. Say a word about Don Hood. He was one of the 3 players that, during that era of time to sign professional contracts at the time, along with Wilbur Cole and Skibo Turner, who's here tonight. Skibo? Skibo and Don signed with the Orioles, and Wilbur Cole signed with the Philadelphia Phillies. Don was a phenomenal left-handed pitcher with control. When he pitched for 4 years, started in the 9th grade, he lost 1 game in the 9th grade. He pitched 3 more years and never lost another game. So there are probably not many pitchers who have that kind of record. There are a lot of stories, it seems, comes out of baseball. I thought baseball might have been the best game to play. You know, you have a little break in there. It's not like football and basketball. You have to just keep going all the time. And remind me of Clyde, there are a lot of stories swirling around Clyde with things that happened to him. And my memory goes back a long ways for some of these things. And Clank, you might remember the name of a catcher by the name of Gabby Hartnett, Chicago Cubs, years ago. And there was a story about him. There was this game going on in Chicago Wrigley Field. They didn't have any lights. And so it was a doubleheader. It was on a Sunday, and the second game had dragged on and on and on and on. So finally they got to the 9th inning, and the Cubs had a 1-run lead, bases loaded, and it was a 3-2 count. The Cubs win if they get out of that. So as they were getting ready for the final pitch, the umpire went out to the mound and called the catcher out there with him. And walked up to the pitcher and said, "Look, it's getting late. We can't see. It's getting dark. What I want you to do, I want you to wind up and make a motion toward home, like you're throwing the ball. And Gabby, I want you to pop your fist in the mitt, and I'm gonna say strike 3, and we're going home. So it worked to perfection. They got out there, and it was really getting dark at this time. And the pitcher made this motion toward home, Hartnett popped his fist in his mitt, and the umpire side. Strike 3, you're out of here. The batter jumped straight up and down and said, "What do you mean strike 3? That thing was a foot over my head." Well, one story about Clyde, and this is about Skibo too. It seems Skibo back then, players didn't wear beards. You had clean faces. So Skibo got him a beard. He was walking around with a beard, and Clyde saw him. So he said, "What's that?" He's got a beard, He said, "Well, get it off." The next day they had a game. Skibo comes strolling in, and Clyde looks at him. He's got a beard. He said, "Where you going?" He said, "To play ball." They said, "You're not playing ball till you get that beard off." So Skibo's thinking, what am I going to do? Well, Clyde's house was across the street from the school. He said, "Well, you go to my house over there and you tell my wife Willa give you a razor, and if you can get one, come back over here, you can play ball. Is it true?" He cut it off, he came back, and he played ball. Also, there some characters on those teams. I think this was probably in the '68, but they were the visitors, final game, state championship, and Clyde used these motivational things, So he told them, said, "Listen, if we win this game, win the state championship, the girls can ride home on the bus." Well, that was motivation enough. But by the 4th inning, they hadn't scored. So Wilbur Cole gathered them all together as they were coming off the field. He said, "Look here," he said, "we hadn't scored yet." He said, "Coach Wren said that if we won, the girls could ride back on the bus. And you know him, if we don't win, they can't ride back on the bus. So we got to get out here and score some runs because I got a date." So then the other one he reminded me of was that as he was going up to that game and he was fidgety and he was just kind of all nervous, and Wilbur Cole walked up behind him and patted him on the shoulder and said, "Coach, don't worry about it. We got it under control." They did. They won the game. And in football, one of the stories I remember is Coach Ears Wilson. That's who we started coaching with. He is in this Hall of Fame also. And he's a big rotund guy, about 300 pounds. We were over in Hartsville playing. They had a great offense. It was one of these things where they ran 2 backs this way and 1 that way, and it was just like a Chinese fire drill, By halftime, it was 30-0 in favor of Hartsville. And so Clyde had this thing. We would go by Coach Wilson in the way to the dressing room and say, "What are we going to do the second half?" And then he'd go talk it up with the players. So down 30-0, he ran by Coach Wilson and said, "What are we going to do the second half?" He said, "Try to get them to go back out there if they'll go." In 1970, West Florence opened up. Clyde became the athletic director and head football coach. I went with him over there as defensive coordinator. First year we had, and Robbie Bridgeman was coaching also over that year. We had a JV team the first year. The second year, we had our first varsity year. Then Clyde decided to leave and go up to Clemson to become, he was a graduate assistant, but shortly he became the recruiting coordinator. In fact, Clyde was a recruiting coordinator for Danny Ford when he won the national championship over there at Clemson before. So anyway, he left West Florence to go to Clemson. I became the head coach, but he left the program in such good shape that we won the region championship the next year. So he's been around. He's probably the best known fellow in South Carolina in the coaching circles, athletic circles. Everybody knows him. He knows everybody else, and that's why Will Neschamp wanted him at South Carolina. Ray Tanner told him, said, "Well, if you want to get down to the state and the coaches in the state, you need to get Clyde Wren." So that's where he is tonight. It's an honor for me to be here and to represent him in his induction And for him, thanks to the Athletic Hall of Fame.
Gerald, thank you. Once again, congratulations to all of our deserving Hall of Fame members. It's a tremendous honor. I think you'll be outstanding leaders and futures for inductees to follow. As some of you may or may not know, this hall includes 3 Super Bowl champions, 1 World Series champion, a first-round draft pick, a Harlem Globetrotter, the all-time women's basketball scorer, and now we welcome 3 incredible coaches, a football All-American, a McDonald's basketball All-American, and one of the best SIDs in the country. So welcome. As I call your name one last time, we're going to ask you to rise and then make your way to my right to the photography area. We'll have a couple of group photos and get one last round of applause for your recognition. Ray Bridgeman, Michael Hawkins, Gerald Kennedy, Bob Klinkanek, Brian Porzio, and Clyde Wren. Congratulations again. As they're making their way over, we'd like to thank Coach Bob Wilson again for being our MC. Guest speaker Monty Lee, thank you. I know for some of you who know me, it may have thought it was a difficult challenge for me to call somebody from the upstate to do this, but it was an easy decision. I'm proud to call Coach Lee a friend of mine, and I thought he was an outstanding person. Thank you again for joining us in Florence. Porter Stewart, thank you again. All of our presenters, Chick-fil-A, again, for your sponsorship and what you've done for us. David Taylor for the video, event photos, who's been in charge of our photography for the evening. To the Florence Red Wolves, and we got 2 raffles, or I guess 1 raffle for 2 season tickets to do real quick. Grab one out of there. So we have Mike G. Come see us at the front before you leave for 2 season tickets to the Florence Red Wolves. We'd like to invite you to visit the Hall of Fame as well as our website, the www.florenceathletichalloffame.com. The plaques and memorabilia are displayed just above us on the 2nd floor concourse. The Hall of Fame itself is up there for patrons and visitors to enjoy when they come to events here at the Civic Center. Anybody has old films, sports cards, or equipment, submit it to a committee member for consideration to be displayed. We need your input for future consideration. You will see applications at your table. There are a number of potential inductees who need to be nominated. We cannot vote on them unless you nominate them. So please get those in for future recommendations. There's more copies at the back door. If you need any, take as many as you want. Make copies of it. If you'd like to sponsor, please make sponsorship. Please see one of the committee members as well. We're excited about next year's class. We've got some candidates still to be voted upon. I congratulate the inductees one last time. Thank you for coming, and we will see you all next year.